I didn't really know what to expect going into the Sonic movie aside from mild intrigue. Obviously, we were all going to see it considering what the movie had gone through and the various studios involved in it, but aside from a few random reviews, I didn't really get a clear rating of how good it is. However, I finally got to see the movie on one of my days off, and I am honestly surprised by how voraciously okay it is. Being completely transparent, this is probably the most neutral I've ever felt about a movie. Even Men in Black International gave me a reaction, and that movie is the blandest piece of shit on the fucking earth. Rest of the universe is claimed by the Paul Blart sequel. But no, it's the movie with the blue furry bait that makes me feel like the heart monitor of an anti-vax family. But hey, I'm an asshole on the internet, so that gives me the right to say shit about something I don't have the right to say shit about. So welcome to this review. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're into Ice Melt and the Taste of Glass. So I consider myself a Sonic fan. I've played Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, as well as Generation, all of which are fun. So with all of this in mind, I think you can consider my knowledge of the franchise and with my Sonic omniscience, I can safely conclude that they probably just didn't throw Sonic into a movie and profit. Nothing too crazy or obscure is there as far as I know, but there are a number of neat references that hit the screen, showing that the men upstairs actually gave half a shit about the source material. Nothing to the degree of Detective Pikachu, of course, but the fan service is certainly there. Speaking of Sonic, let's talk about Sonic. Voiced by that dude from Scrubs, he actually gives a pretty solid performance in my opinion. While not a new interpretation of the character in the slightest, he gives adequate life to it, expressing nicely a hyperactivity and a childish nature expected of someone who lacks proper parenting and couldn't exactly be stopped by a baby gate. Also, Sonic flossed twice and I didn't immediately implode on myself. What did actually surprise me was Sonic's inner turmoil on his isolation, albeit being extremely cliche. You actually feel the sadness during the baseball game as well as a bit of hesitation about going to Fungus Mungus, because the only thing you can't outrun is your own loneliness. Good performance there at least. But we are all here for one thing, and that is Jim Carrey. And he does good too, I guess. His Robotnik is weirdly fun to watch, although his entire gimmick is being smarter than anyone else and having a superiority complex, and that itself made me lose brain cells very quickly. But Carrey's strength is always physicality and exaggeration, and he does great here as well. In the plot, he also acts as an interesting foil to Sonic, as a good bad guy do, as the latter yearns for connection while the former actively rejects it. And everyone else literally does not matter. Generic kids film male and female add very little to the plot, offering a completely idiotic side conflict, and are pretty much there just to hit the kids film quo. The most they ever do is shill Olive Garden and revive Sonic with but otherwise, they can be safely snapped from the plot and nothing is really lost. Also, Robotnik has a henchman named Mr. Stonks, but he pretty much is just there to emphasize Carrey and nothing more. Nothing wrong with that specifically, but just an interesting thing to note. Also, this movie really ain't that funny. Obviously, fart jokes were to be expected since it is a kids movie, but once again, Sonic flossed on 2 separate occasions and I passed out from the cringe both times. I think they got a smile out of me 2 or 3 times, but nothing truly audible. All of the jokes that they really had were pretty safe low-hanging fruit, and while the actors did as best they could with execution, I think it's simply a case of bad script. So is this movie a waste of $10 in my Monday night? Not really. Both Sonic and Robotnik were fun parts of this movie, and if you're into that stuff, I think you'll like that. But everything else is just so utterly stale in my personal opinion that it is really not worth a second viewing. Unless they release the Werehog cut, that is. In which case, I will happily fork up $50 for that disaster. I give it a flossing Sonic out of an Olive Garden.